a look at SPY for the week of, or the week beginning January the 19th. So far, we're seeing quite a bit of sideways action over the last 10 or 12 trading days. And we have come into this support region 1, 2, almost 3, 4 days. This morning, pre-market, we are bouncing. Resistance looks to be about 204.70 to 204.80 with an expansion event that might take it to 206.47. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a drift down in the amount of momentum, meaning that we're going to be very likely to have choppy spaces. This means that your price action has to confirm, or in another more positive light, your price action is going to give you the opportunity to watch it confirm. It is not going to run away from you, so pay attention to the retest of the levels that you consider important for the breaches. Right now we are printing pre-market above the close of the prior day to the tune of about 202.55. Looks like it's on approach to 203.10-ish, and then we'll see what happens here from an early morning perspective. But as we look at the chart from the daily, what do we expect? A couple of things I'd like for you to take a look at. One of them is there a relative trend line that we're working against? Listen, trend lines don't really mean anything unless there is an actual horizontal line associated with price, right? If there is, the trend line is going to mean a lot. If there isn't, trend line is going to get broken. It's as simple as that. Weak trend lines get broken a lot because they are chopping around regions of support and resistance where nobody's made their decision quite yet. And so we'll see if this is one of those. Watch for the edge here. Notice that this line is going to come really near this moving average. So we're going to expect a little bit of resistance there. We have positive momentum showing up underneath. We have negative drift showing from above, and that leads to choppy action all the way around. We have some days where we have our selling is much stronger than the buying, and then the buying becomes much stronger than the selling. It is an unresolved region, and so when you are sitting in an unresolved region, it means you need to wait. Listen, for traders, that's the worst thing that you could possibly tell us. All of us are impatient. We all share that. We don't want to wait on anything. We just want to go ahead and get a position in. And what's the point of waiting? I'm trying to tell you that the devil is in the details of this business. And if you don't really work on finding out where those details need to be paid attention to, you're going to expand your risk and you are going to decimate your account. I'm just telling you, flat out. Right? And that's the way it goes. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Support really is in a very interesting space right here. We should hold it. You know, we've got the 50% rule suggesting that eventually we do come down into this 196-ish level somewhere around here. Let's see what that number actually is. 196.70, 196.60, somewhere around there. So we've got a lot of things that we're looking at here. Let's expand out to a weekly. We still have on the broader angles a bit of negative momentum, but that is shifting. And so as the negative momentum shifts, the chart will have much more difficulty drifting down into important regions. Notice this. The weekly 50 has one touch since, let's see, November 2012. That is still the case. Now, if you remember, if you've been watching any tweets or anything like I've been doing, we've been talking about it pulling back into that region. We've bounced, but the bounce has not been very exciting. We've had a wave action event that's rolled us sort of over. If we take another trend line event, and we take a look at what's going on here, we can see that there is a pretty clean line up above that folks are selling off of, and it's become very, very sideways here. But again, holding support. Buyers have stepped in at the important levels so far and held us in check. My thought is that we meander sideways into this 50. We're just going to have a space that it's not even as deep as this, I don't think. It's just going to meander into here, and then it's going to make a decision. It's been a long time since the charts have taken a breath. We've got a 2-year run, and we just need to take a breath. And that's quite all right, but it means sideways action. What's that mean? Premium sellers in the options market are going to have a great time if you choose wisely on your strikes. You're going to have an easy go of it from that perspective. What do we see? We are still holding relative support action to the upside, but drifting lower in terms of momentum. So I see us eventually coming in to test these areas. Where's the real breakout region for this chart? It's down here at 188.49. So I'm going to put that number there as the number to watch over time to see if we actually drift into this region and choose the breakout space. The next likely breakout space for us really is right around that 197.56. If we hold that region, we'll chop around, move sideways. If we intend to test this second breakout area, which we did once, but we have a tendency to do twice in this type of formation, we'll come in to 188.59. Let's quickly look at the IWM, since it doesn't quite look the way all of these things are pulling together. Right here. Let's move that out of the way. All right, and so now what we see is a very wide spread and a movement at the top of the region. This is very, very interesting, but very sloppy chart. Again, iron condors are going to be some of the best things that we can do for ourselves in terms of watching these things expand. Even if we punch out over the 120, we will retest it. Overall, momentum seems very, very flat. Pre-market this morning, we are bouncing like the rest of everything, but resistance lies up ahead at 117.84. Notice for the SPY formation, we are sitting at the bottom of its relative channel. And for the IWM, we are sitting close to the top, really sitting in the halfway spot. So this one ought to get a little bit chattery, maybe a little bit more chattery than the SPY. And so what we want to see is if it does bounce up, we are going to see it come back to that region. If it loses the midline area here, 113.67, it is going to punch us back down into the 110 area. We have downward momentum. We have downward drift showing above. We have flat momentum showing from underneath. All of it, again, total mess. Nothing looks attractive, but there's a lot more bullish activity here than we see in SPY. The problem is it's at the top of its range. It looks quite a bit like a choppy top, so we'll be watching that also. And that is a weekly chart, so it's going to give us a very wide angle lens. All right, lastly, taking a look at the Qs, this is some write-up that I've had from a while back. We're going to see that this chart is not quite in the messy range that a lot of the others are. And we'll take this fib off. It's very noisy. What we can see is this is a frontline support area that the chart is sitting in. It's sort of trying to bounce off of the top. We are seeing negative divergence in a number of places, but we also see positive divergence from underneath. So the chart is indeed also quite messy. What do we expect? The same thing. level to level trading. Look at how far away the weekly 50 is. If we take this down into the daily, we're going to see that we are sitting just like SPY between the 50 and the 200 simple moving averages, coming into that 50% range. So we should bounce. Now this gap here I had drawn from a while back, it filled it here, it's retested it here. If it continues off of this edge, we know this is an important region. This is a breakout space. Notice it broke out from here and it's retested it twice. So this formation is much more developed than, say, the IWM formation or even the SPY formation, because it's come into its initial breakout area and held very nicely. What we do see is a breakdown in the rotation. So we have a high here and then a lower high and another lower high. Not sure where it is that that's going to give us, but we are piercing support regions and we're piercing them deeper over time. And so we expect another punch into resistance and a drift downward, more than likely into the base of this congestion. Maybe, you know what, let's draw a line here. 98.87. That's going to give us the baseline of this congestion, and it'll fill another gap. This has two large gaps to it to the south. We'll see what happens right there. Overall, folks, don't really see any catastrophic dips at this time, but I do see a lot of sideways action. And the only way to make money in sideways action is, you know, selling premium. Essentially, right? Because there are a lot of ways to make money, and when there's not momentum, you can't make money looking to move from point A to point B unless those points are very, very tightly situated together, right? All right, so the bottom line for the week, I expect sideways action to continue. We are sitting down at the base, so I anticipate first couple of days during the week we have a punch up, maybe a pullback down, jagged action into prior resistance, and then we'll go from there. If the body of movement shifts significantly, I will put another update midweek. All right? Good luck trading.